My friends, I'm Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on this magnificent Monday live. I am back in the office this week and looking forward to what God has in store for us. But right now, I want you to join me in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, beginning in verse 1. Paul has been working to come to this point in his letter to the Corinthians, building them up, helping them to see themselves as he sees them, as competent, qualified, capable partners in the gospel. And not just for the church at Corinth, but for the church all around Asia Minor, all around the world of their day, knowing that there is a lot that can be done when we work together cooperatively. And I think that's an important word here because it is so very true that we can accomplish more together than we can separately. Now listen to what he says. Now concerning the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you, for I know your willingness, about which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has stirred up the majority. What is he talking about? He's taking an offering. Yeah, that's right. He's taking an offering for the saints in Jerusalem because of the great persecution that is going there, and because the church members, Christians, are losing everything. They're losing their jobs, their homes, their businesses, their livelihood. They have no means of support whatsoever. And so Paul has been encouraging other churches to give, to help to cover the ministry. Now, listen to how Paul does this. He says, I know that I don't need to remind you about this. He says, I know your willingness. He said, I boast about, I brag about you guys all the time to the Macedonians, that you were ready to give this offering last year. You were set and ready to go. And he said, because of the zeal that you've shown and I tell everybody about, everybody wants to be a part of it. That's the rough Ben Hayes paraphrase of what Paul is saying here in verses 1 and 2. He is really building them up for this moment. And he says in verse 3, yet I have sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this respect, that, as I said, you may be ready. He sent some of his helpers to Corinth to help them get ready, to help them actually take the offering. He says, I did this because I don't want you to fail in this. Listen, let me tell you, the last thing that anyone who has started a church, anyone who has pastored a church, anyone who has loved on people and brought them into the kingdom, the last thing that they want to see is their spiritual family fail in anything. We have responsibilities. We are accountable to each other and to the Father, and we have to do some things even if it's tough. Now, I get this, the Christians at Corinth were not having an easy time either. Many of them had lost their families, their homes, their jobs. Many of them were struggling as well, and we know that a lot of the members of the church at Corinth were actually slaves, and they didn't have a lot that they could give. But Paul says, I want you to be a part of this. You need to be a part of this. And he says, I'm sending my men to you to help you to do this, lest if some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, should be ashamed of this confident boasting. He says, when I come and I'm going to have some Macedonian folks with me, I don't want to have to eat crow. I don't want to have to sit back and say, well, I'm sorry, I guess I had it all wrong. I don't want to be ashamed. I don't want you to be ashamed either. And so finally, look what he says in verse 5. Therefore, I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren to go to you ahead of time and prepare your generous gift beforehand, which you had previously promised, that it may be ready as a matter of generosity and not as a grudging obligation. Look, what we're going to see here tomorrow, God loves a cheerful giver. But when you've made a commitment to give, God expects you to give. He wants it to come from the heart. He wants it to come from deep within with the joy that cannot be obtained anywhere else. But he expects you to follow through on the gift that you've committed. What is that gift? It could be money. It could be time, talent, your life, whatever it is. If you make that commitment, you must follow through. Be blessed. I'll see you back here tomorrow.